Hey my loves. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kay. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. And today I want to talk about a pretty trending topic. So right now on social media, I feel like we're constantly hearing about the Matrix. Do you guys even know what the Matrix is? And whose idea of the Matrix, who came up with the idea that we can't always trust our senses, our 3D world, that, there's people lying to us, people in power lying to us. Whose idea was that? I'm gonna tell you. I feel like every celebrity is talking about it nowadays, escaping from the Matrix and, all this Matrix reference. And it's not only the Matrix they're talking about, it's alpha, beta, omega thing that can't understand how these two things correlate. Co-director of the film The Matrix, Lily Wachowski, claims that the film was a trans metaphor, right? Direct quotes. I'm not too sure who came up with that conclusion from the movie. I didn't, me personally, but if you did, I completely understand, and you should let me know in the comments down below if that's how you feel, if you feel like The Matrix was a trans metaphor for you. But that's just not how I feel, and I'm gonna give you my opinion. I believe that the writers of the film The Matrix developed their theory or their idea from Plato's allegory of caves. If you don't know who Plato is, that's okay, that's fine. I'm gonna let you know exactly who he is and why he is so important. If you don't know who Plato is, then maybe you've heard of Socrates, his teacher, or Aristotle, his student. Now, these are very, very, very famous Greek philosophers of their time, and their time being 400 to 300 BCE. Plato's writings explain a justification for knowledge, but a rejection for skepticism. He explains the constant change and evolution of nature. The world isn't the same as it was 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago. It's constantly changing. We are constantly evolving. And what I've realized living on this earth for 23 years is that most people, would rather be blind than to see the truth. Most people rather cover their eyes and pretend like nothing's happening than to face reality. And what it feels like also is there's no room for gray area in this world. It's like everything is either black or white, and it's right or wrong. And what I can't understand about that is our perceptions of right and wrong are different. They're different because we perceive things differently. We have different experiences. So where does there has to be gray area that fits into this right and wrong or this or that. What Plato did was, what his allegory of caves was basically a story-like experience explaining what it's like to be a human being. So Plato says to imagine human beings, their experience like this, okay? So imagine living in a cave as a prisoner, being there since birth, right? You're chained to the wall. These prisoners, they have a fire burning behind them, but they cannot see the fire. They can just hear the fire sounds and see the shadows casted by the fire onto a wall screen. A cave wall screen-like in front of them. So what is casted onto this wall is shadows and figures of people and animals and things of the real world, right? And this is what they perceive as their truth. This is all they've ever known as living. This is all they've ever perceived, right? So these people and these figures that they're seeing on the wall, they believe it as real people, real figures, their real truth. One day, a prisoner is freed, right? He is freed from the cave, he is freed from his chains, and he's now able to look around and perceive what's going on, right? He sees a light casted outside. This prisoner ends up outside, and he is blinded by the sun. His eyes have never seen the sun, if you can imagine, right? So he's actually physically blinded by the sun. He can barely move too. He's pretty weak. He's never really moved his body his whole life. And yes, of course, as you can imagine, seeing sunshine for the first time ever, it's probably blinding, It's probably gonna take a couple of days, weeks, months, who knows, to get used to. And that's what he does. So of course, as a released prisoner, right, you just learned there's a whole new life. And what do? You want to go free your friends. You want to go tell your friends like, hey guys, there's a whole other world outside. You guys shouldn't be chained up anymore. Of course, you would want to go back to your friends to help them, right? Because you feel for them. You know what it's like to be a prisoner. This freed prisoner goes back to the cave to visit his prisoner friends to try to enlighten them of the truth, because he has found this new knowledge. And guess what? What can you expect? Now imagine, right? This prisoner has been outside. He's probably gotten tanned. I mean, he's probably more athletic now due to finally being able to use his muscles and build his strength. So he probably looks like a completely different person, if you could imagine, this enlightened new individual. And guess what? They don't believe that this is him. They don't believe him. They believe that this guy is lying to them, right? And not only that he's lying to them, he's attacking their perception of truth, right? And what do people like to do when you attack their perception of truth? They like to hurt you. So they wanted to hurt him, and they wanted to actually kill him because of this, because he was trying to enlighten them. Now, referring back to The Matrix, I don't want to assume that everybody has watched the movie, but I want to give a brief rundown of what happened in the main points, okay? So in The Matrix, Neo, he is a computer programmer, okay guys? He lives the 9 to 5, okay? He goes to work on time, he has to, or else he's gonna get fired. Okay, he pays his taxes on time, okay? He gets home. He does the regular thing. He gets home, does some more work, and he lives the regular, life. One day, Neo meets Morpheus, and Morpheus tells him this world that he's living in has pulled a sheet over his eyes and has blinded him from the truth. At this time, Morpheus offers Neo a choice between a blue pill or a red pill. And now this is what everybody's always talking about, blue pill this, red pill that. This is where it's coming from, of Morpheus offering Neo a red pill or a blue pill. Red pill being enlightenment, being the truth, to be awake, right? And the blue pill was to be asleep, to be a prisoner of your mind. And guess what Neo chooses? Of course, he chooses the red pill. Like, he wants to be woke. He wants to understand what's going on. And also showing that there's a choice to enlightenment, like everybody has. There's a choice to knowledge, whether we want to know or not, to be or not to. Choosing the red pill, Neo wakes up in this machine-like incubator, like he is being reborn again, okay? He's using his eyes for the first time, right? He's almost blinded because his eyes are in so much pain, because this is the first time he's actually using his eyes, right? Like the prisoner. And his body is so weak he can barely move, He's never really used his body before. So, after this, he needs time to train, he needs time to adjust, he needs time to be as healthy as he could be after being asleep for his whole life. And since the mind has a hard time letting go of what it knows as truth, like for me personally, it's hard to change, right? When you have known something to be the same for so long, and all of a sudden things change, and then it's like this kind of unknown entity energy, right, of uncertainty and confusion. And I think everybody experiences that when adjusting to something new, good or bad. So The Matrix and Plato's allegory of caves, they both experience, or they both narrate a story-like experience of individuals, prisoners in their mind, on a path to enlightenment, or who have to leave their world or all they've ever known to explore something unknown, right? That's hard to do. That's not easy to do. The prisoners in the cave, right, are just like Neo in his machine incubator. These are, prisoners unknowingly. Both of these stories, narrations, explain a search, not only a pursuit for knowledge, but also understanding that change is challenging, right? And it's challenging also to leave behind our mental truths and accept something that is different. So now if we want to think about why does this, who cares about this, and why does this even matter? I don't know, because everybody's always talking about The Matrix, okay? And I wanted to make sure that the truth of The Matrix is really out there for people to know and see. Plato's allegory emphasizes the limitations to only relying on your senses. And by senses, I mean your 5 senses. So that is sight, smell, taste, hear, I'm missing one, touch. I'm using my 5 senses to perceive this reality around me, like you are too, perceiving me. You can't always trust it. That was his message, that you can't always trust what is around you, what people tell you to do. Plato explains that human beings spend much of their reality being prisoners in a cave, right? And being a prisoner means, I hate to say it, but you know, how was Neo a prisoner? He was working a 9 to 5, he was paying his taxes, he was following the rules, and he was doing everything that everybody else told him to do. I don't want to say that you shouldn't follow the rules, you shouldn't pay your taxes, because you get in trouble, right? Like, let's be honest, like, look at the society. The purpose of Plato's allegory was to express that human beings have a choice in enlightenment. You have a choice in knowing the truth or not, but you would also have to see it for yourself to truly understand it and believe it. The cave that is in his allegory is an expression of today's society being ignorant. You know, the ignorance of society in a whole. Me too, everybody. And we are ignorant because we are, you know, lacking education, and we are following people in power. Following blindly, by the way it feels. You know, focusing on things that aren't that important, whether it's career, whether it's buying an expensive house, right? And it kind of just sort of feels like everybody they have our roles, they have our lives already set up for us to follow. It's not really our choice, it's just kind of what we have to go with. People in our lives, they insist that these shadows being working the 9 to 5, paying taxes, following the rules, showing up to work on time, you know, buying an expensive house, you know, going to the most expensive school, you know, all these things that people are so focused on. Plato explains that they're just perceptions of our culture in our mind. They tell us that these shadows are genuine and they're important, right? And they're true, but are they really? And these projections have been casted in our minds since we were born. We've been a prisoner since we were born, and we've just been absorbing all of this false information. You have a choice on being a prisoner your whole life or not. And I feel like what society does is they kind of like institutionalize you in a way where you're okay with being ignorant, where you're okay with not knowing the truth. It's easier to be ignorant, it's easier to not know the truth, because then you don't really have to take responsibility. It's not on me, I had no idea. It's easier, yes, but more fulfilling? I don't think so. Maybe people enjoy not being in charge of their whole own lives. Maybe they enjoy giving their power to one supreme power. You know, it just feels safer, you know, because then no one could really attack you. You have this person up here is a middleman, supposed to protect me from all these other external forces. I would assume it does probably feel like a safer option, depending on their intentions, again. And most people don't have the best intentions, especially those in power. Those in power don't usually have good intentions for you, surprisingly. Those with power and with money, they're usually not looking out for your best interests. You have a choice on being a prisoner your whole life. It's up to you whether you want to be blinded, following the blind, right? Or if you want to be a leader. And I know that there's other people out there too that would rather follow the truth than to stay blind their whole lives. And if you're watching this, that means that you are probably a truth seeker, right? You are looking for the truth. If you guys enjoyed that video, please let me know in the comment section down below. If you didn't enjoy the video, that's okay. Please let me know in the comment section down below. If you have your own opinion and if you feel differently, just let me know. You know, let's talk about it. Like, subscribe, share, do whatever. If you like these videos, let me know. I'd like to keep making more. Let's seek the truth together. Let's figure out what's really going on here, because it's not right. Let's be honest.